We're here live back at the Anonymous Gambler podcast. So happy to be here. And we have Fuhrmy on the line. Fuhrmy, how you doing?
Good, Goose. Thanks to be back. Happy to be back.
Oh, we're super happy to be back. Are you blowing up? You getting text messages?
Absolutely.
Oh man, put that on silent. We don't need to hear how popular are. You went 2-1. You had a nice fight back week. I have been incredibly lucky. Getting a couple good games in here, going 2 weeks in a row, 3-0. Tell us about your week last week, real quick here, Fuhrmy.
All right, so connected on the Florida-Georgia over. Also, Kentucky covered late, and they actually won outright, so the points didn't even matter. But that was an exciting game. But then, boy, did Texas A&M let me down against Nick Fitzgerald, who I've been bashing the last couple weeks, which kept me away from a 3-0 week. So 2-1, I'll take it. Back on the winning side, still above 500 on the year, but.
Absolutely. I mean, you're playing well. Like I said, we're still in line for that 60%. It's crazy to think it's already week 10. You and I were talking on Saturday night, and we got a little excited, and we took Oregon, and we thought that Oregon was going to come through with us, put a little money in our pockets there for a late night Pac-12 game, and they totally blew it. And I'm just thinking that. For my first pick, I'm going to give out a Friday nighter. I'm going to take that over 57 for Oregon and Arizona. I think Khalil Tate is back. I think that he made a little bit of a mini statement game. I like the fact that Colorado played in an absolute shootout in overtime against Oregon State. And I'm just really happy that this game is in Arizona. I think this is a great opportunity for them to start to build momentum. Even if it's not for this year, it might be for next year. Something was out of sync, whether it was Sumlin or whatever it is. But I'm going to take the quarterback and the coach with a chip on their shoulder to put up some points. I think Colorado can put up points as well. They put up 31, and then they gave up 34 or 31 unanswered, became 34, and then they won it in overtime. So I think this one is going to light up the scoreboard on Friday night. And I think the points are going to reign supreme. And I'm not going to harp too heavy on that because you and I were just bouncing back and forth about a pick. You talk about buying a team after you lose on them. And that's sometimes hard to do. You get emotional about it, you think about it, and you get kind of upset. But you're thinking about buying Texas A&M this week again after a really pitiful performance last week against Mississippi State. What's your train of thought here, Fuhrmy?
All right, so I'm gonna go South Carolina or Texas A&M with the points. They're getting 3.5 on the road at Auburn. I think Auburn's been anything but they've been very unimpressive since really middle of the season. I like A&M. I think Kellen Mond gets them back on the winning side of the coin. They're both 5-3, so this is a big showdown in the SEC West. I think, honestly, though, both are out of contention with the Bama LSU game, but still a big game. So I'm gonna go A&M plus 3.5 at Auburn on a bounce back win. It was like you said, they sort of stuck a knife in the heart last week. I was really hopeful that they could cover against Mississippi State, and then they actually just got ran off the field. It was not a pretty showing, but I'm going to hop back on the train.
I think this is a great time to buy them. I think that everyone's kind of underselling Jimbo Fisher, and I would take him as a great coach to rebound a team, especially in that conference. And I understand that he hasn't been there very long, but I think this is one of those where this is where coaching will come through. I think a lot of people are selling the coach at Auburn. I think that he's kind of on the hot seat, apparently. And so, they're supposed to have this pretty good year. They start off well against Washington, and then they have just been pretty much a missed team this year. And I just think that this is a good opportunity, especially if you're getting that hook, that 3.5. This game could legitimately be a 4-point game that gets down to a 3-point game, a late touchdown, something, either way. And I think that it's going to be very interesting. I don't know if I would take them straight, but I do like them getting points here. Speaking of getting points, you're going to go for a no-show on points here. And you're selling a team that you've been I don't know if you've been necessarily high on them, but you've had a pretty good read on them lately, especially with their lack of quarterback play. and you're going to the state of Kentucky once again. What are we hitting in the well here, Fuhrmy?
All right, so this one I like Georgia, Kentucky. I'm going to go under 44. This is a huge game in the SEC East. Basically, the winner is probably going to win the East. I think they're both sitting at 5-1 in the East, and this is essentially the SEC East championship. I don't think either team is going to lose in the next couple weeks. Kentucky actually has a really easy road the last 3 games, but I think it's a defensive struggle. I actually think Georgia's probably going to win the game, just because, like you pointed out, Kentucky's lack of quarterback play. Although they did throw the ball last week to somehow put together a drive and win the game. But I like the under defensive struggle. Kentucky's defense has been good all year. I think they're going to come out fired up. Because when was the last time, honestly, that they could play for an SEC East title? I surely can't remember it in football. So
I can't.
I mean, it's been forever. So give me the under 44. I know it's a low under, but I still like it as a defensive struggle, much like Kentucky's games have been all year.
Well, I want to give you good news. It's not just 44; it's 44.5. So you get that extra little point there to get away from the push. That could be huge. That 24-20 game goes under right now. So that line opened at 44, but it is sitting at 44.5. So there is there's a little bit of an edge there for you, Fuhrmy, and it may be small, but it could be a total game changer here, especially for anyone putting them in later in the week. Since we're doing this on Thursday, this might be a good time to get on this because of that half-point hook.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take the half point. You never know when it matters.
You look. You've got me watching so much SEC football more than I normally do, and I really watched that Memphis game a couple weeks ago against Mizzou. You think about an offense that Memphis was supposed to have against Mizzou, and then Mizzou lights up the scoreboard. And then what do? We buy right back on Memphis, put up a boatload. And now I'm looking at this noon game. It's Memphis, East Carolina. I just am looking for boat races, and I think this is another boat race. I think East Carolina is better than what they've actually shown. I watched them a couple weeks ago when they played Temple, and I know it's like, they're getting throttled, but then they give up a bunch of points, and they score a bunch of points. They're kind of hit or miss. If you're watching the Temple UCF game right now, Temple was leading that game. Temple is way better than what they're given credit for. I know this is not the Matt Rule defenses that were there for an extended period of time, but they're pretty good. And I think East Carolina is gonna put up 24, but I think that Memphis is gonna put up 52 easily, handily. This one again could be another first half, like I only need one score in the third quarter. It was at 64.5. I bought a half point. I put it down to 64. Give me the over for Memphis and East Carolina. I think this one is taking points and giving them to the other team in your final pick. And we were kind of going back and forth on this, whether you were going to take the over or whether you were going to take the team with the points. What are you deciding with, Fuhrmy?
All right, so I'm going to take the team given the points. So obviously this is the big SEC matchup of the week, Bama at LSU. At night, 8 o'clock game, prime time. I'm going to take Bama minus 14.5. I think a lot of people, I honestly think, are going to be on the LSU side. At home at night, getting 2 touchdowns plus that half point. But they're both off a bye. We all know how good Saban is when he can prep for 2 weeks, and look at him during bowl season. And this is essentially, much like the Georgia-Kentucky game, this is potentially and most likely the SEC West at hand as well. So give me Bama minus 14.5. I definitely think they win the game. I also think they cover. And if I had to take over or under 53, I'd put my money on the over. I just think Bama gets out early. And, I mean, they haven't even been close to stopped on offense. And LSU might be able to do it. I just don't think they can do it for 4 quarters. So I think Bama covers, and like I said, it could be a shootout.
What do you think about Bama's most likely going to be maybe an 8.5, maybe even a 9-point favorite in the first half? They have been a first half covering machine. Do you think that this is a game for them to potentially go first half cover here? Again, what do you think?
I do. I think, honestly, I think they will. Saban's going to try to just take off right out of the gate. He doesn't want to let them linger around into the third and fourth quarter. If he can be up 2 scores at halftime, I think he's going to do everything in his power to do so.
Isn't that insane that you're saying that? He wants it. Remember the old Bama? The Bama teams, we're not even talking that long ago. We're talking like 2-3 years ago that were slow and looking for a 20-0 victory and get off the field. This is insane, the numbers that they're putting up for me.
Well, and I think it's because nobody has stopped them. It's one of those things if you're a power running team and you'd rather not even risk throwing the ball, but Tua hasn't turned the ball over yet, I don't think. Or at least he hasn't through the air, I don't believe. He may have a fumble or two, but I still don't think he has any interceptions, and nobody's proven, there's so much speed on the outside. They've stretched the field. Like Judy has, I think, 9 or 10 touchdowns, something crazy. So, I think Bama's too much, and I think their defense is definitely good enough to stop LSU. So give me. I know it's 14.5, a lot of points for a number 3 team at home to be getting, but just Bama, it looks like an elite team right now, and I don't know that anybody can compete with them.
I don't know anyone that can either. And I'm going to go right next door to a home game at Troy down there in Alabama. I'm going to take that over 64. Let me see. I just want to double check. I know I got it 64. I just want to make sure. Yeah, so it's 64 against UL Lafayette. UL Lafayette has this quarterback, Andre Nunez. He's pretty good for the Sun Belt. He's good. Troy has been not bad without their starting quarterback, Baker. And I think this is another boat race. I think Troy can really run the ball, and they move faster than they're given credit for. Their quarterback that's replaced Barker has been playing well. I don't think that offense and the teams that they're playing against necessarily needed to have a big turnaround. Like, you didn't lose that much in your quarterback. But they're still putting up an average of 34 points a game, and their defense has given up about 24. I like the fact that UL Lafayette is not afraid to run and gun. They spread it out. They do this RPO as well. They're putting up an average of 34, but they're giving up an average of almost 37. I just think this is a good old Sun Belt shootout. Troy is going to put up 38, maybe 42, and then I think that UL Lafayette is going to put up somewhere around 28-ish. So I think this game definitely goes over 64 points. I know it's not in your wheelhouse. We're going to get you there next year. But I just think it's a great opportunity. To be honest with you, Fuhrmy, I'm going to be 100% honest. I'm going to keep it on the record here. I think I'm due for an 0-3. I just think the Goose is going to goose egg this. I don't believe in jinx, but there's just something about my picks this week. I like them, but I could see them being legitimately 100% wrong. I can see Memphis putting up 30 and calling it a day, and that's it. And East Carolina doesn't score a point. I can see UL Lafayette, the quarterback, just crapping out, and Troy just grounding and pounding it because they have a big game the following week against Georgia Southern. And then I can see Arizona just going back to what we've seen, then putting up 13 points and Colorado winning 24-13. I can see all of those scenarios happening, but I'm hoping that I'm right, and I'm hoping that you can come through as well too, because we still have not had the double 3-0 week, and we've got to have it, Fuhrmy. We have to have it.
There's still time. There's still time.
How do you feel about this whole bowl prep thing? I know we've been kind of tight with work, but we're still getting our picks in. I'm curious as to your thought here. Are you going to start looking at teams that are, 4 or 5 win teams in the SEC looking to potentially make a bowl? Some of them that maybe didn't hit par or expectations, maybe sell them a little bit. You want to give us a little insight into maybe what you're thinking here, Fuhrmy?
Yeah, that's going to come into play here the last couple of weeks, and a lot of these Power 5 schools, they play mid-majors or FCS teams even. They sprinkle 1 or 2 in here at the end of the year, or non-Power 5 conferences, to sort of rest up for the postseason. And, right before rivalry week, they usually sprinkle in some, I'll say, easier matchups. So I think that's what usually pushes some of these like 500 teams into bowl eligibility. And there's, let's be real, how many bowls are there now? Like, it's something crazy, like 40 bowls. So I think, there's going to be a lot of lopsided games in the next couple weeks, and there's also going to be some big conference showdowns that decide, conference champs or playoff teams. So I'm excited for this last couple weeks of the season.
I am 100% excited. If you look at our combined record, if someone were to take both your and my picks, we would be sitting at, I'm actually calculating it right now. I'm at 16-11. You are at 15-12. That's 54 picks total. If you took all our picks together, you're sitting at 57%. I'm at 59, and you're at 55. Average of 2, you get 57. That's a profitable year for me. Let's keep this ball rolling, and let's keep this thing steaming here, because there's a big week of college basketball next week. And I know I'm not going to get to talk to you, but I want to know if you have any insight to those Tuesday night games. There's 2 big ones on the board. I was wondering if you had any interest into it. I'm kind of putting you on the spot here.
So I know one is the Kentucky-Duke game, right?
Yes.
And what's the other big tip-off game?
It's Kansas and, oh, come on. I had it. Hold on.
Michigan State.
Michigan State. Kansas, Michigan State, yes.
Yeah. I think Duke will win. Their freshman class is loaded. Of course, so is Kentucky's. But if I had to, I'd pick Duke. The line's not out right now, so I'm sort of betting on even money at this point. And then, that one's tough. Kansas, Michigan State. I'd probably pick Kansas.
I love how the week 1, game 1, like top teams playing each other, because they don't care. You get into the March Madness tournament. They're going to figure everything out anyways. Let them play. That's seriously what I love about college basketball. Beginning of the season, they get after it, and I absolutely and totally love it. I think it's so entertaining. I'm so excited. You have any you have any teams that you're looking for here throughout the course of the year as we start to get prep for our Calcutta?
I want to keep an eye on Michigan, actually. I watched a lot of Michigan basketball last year for whatever reason. I know there's a local guy, Eli Brooks, out of Michigan, and I followed his season pretty closely last year. Ended up starting at point guard and then sort of took a back seat. But I think his playing time's going to ramp up this year, so I'm excited to watch that. And then they brought in some pretty talented freshmen, and they also lost a lot. So I'm anxious to see last year's freshman class, who was pretty good, see them as sophomores. And Beeline's a great coach. He's fun to watch. He's a great X's and O's kind of guy. So I'm going to keep my eye on them. Because they're just going to be one of those teams that grows throughout the year and is going to be playing good basketball at the end of the year.
I like it.
At least that's what
I like it, Fuhrmy. Hey, listen, hang on the line here. I'm going to close this out.
All right.
Hey, this might be a record. It might be the shortest one we have, but we have some good picks for you guys. Again, Fuhrmy is going under for Georgia. He's also going to take Alabama minus 14.5, and then he is also going to take his last one and slipped my mind. Wait for it. Fuhrmy, what was it again? Texas A&M. Texas A&M.
A&M plus 3.5.
Bags A&M plus 3.5. I'm on the over 64 for Troy and UL Lafayette. I'm on the over 64 for Memphis and East Carolina. And I'm on the over on Friday night for Colorado and UCLA. Listen, we appreciate you guys listening. If you're hanging on to us, continue to stick with us, because we're going to keep giving you winners as best as we can. It's going to be a great week coming up. We're going to get ready for those Thanksgiving games as well with NCAA basketball. We're super excited here at the Anonymous Gambler. Y'all have a great weekend. Have a safe one, and we'll talk to you guys next week.